All right, so the last animal I want to show y'all has been the showstopper. And this guy here, I never expected to hatch something that looked this nice out of the pairing. So the pairing was a Hurricane Inchi Yellow Belly Special.
Howdy folks, Brian here at Redline Report, and today we're going to sit down with my buddy Patrick MacKnight of Aura Reptiles. And now Patrick is somebody who the first time I met, I came to the conclusion that he was my spirit animal, and I've not regretted that to date. And maybe based off of this conversation we're about to have, you will agree or not. Either way, you're watching the Redline Report, brought to you by Redline Shipping.
So I didn't know what we were going to talk about, so essentially what got me into ball pythons, favorite morph, the struggles and trials and tribulations of making a snake, something cool, and then the thing everybody loves at the show.
Yeah, I mean, that thing is blazing.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, so let me, thing that you into ball pythons.
Yep. Favorite?
Favorite.
Yep.
Trials and tribulations.
Yep. Just a
cool
snake.
morph, and the thing that everybody loves.
Yep.
That's well-rounded.
I thought that would be helpful.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure the direction we were going to go, so.
The more time I've spent with you, getting to know you,
yes,
you just keep getting like smarter.
Oh,
which is weird.
Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I think I made that comment the other day to you or somebody. Maybe it was Ed and Emily I was talking to. There's work Patrick, and then there's like snake Patrick. No, this is good for the audio, like right in the middle of the video, and it's easy to cut out loud, obnoxious walkie-talkies. Yeah, there's work Patrick, and then there's like other Patrick, and I think the more like you're around me, the more glimpses of work Patrick you see. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and so that's probably more
probably
so.
what's happening.
Yeah. You'll also hear a lot more Texan accent come out too. That comes out a lot. It slips out.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
You like? Is that an intentional thing to hide it?
Yeah. So growing up, my parents always told me that like it was uneducated. Like it sounded very hick and uneducated. So they were very like big on like speaking proper English and not using that accent. And so yeah, my wife and I both like we hide it really well. But every now and then like words will come out and it's like whoa.
How do you do that? So because I was just talking with somebody else that I had on about accents and like everybody has one.
Yeah.
Even though Hollywood pumped out enough content back in the day to like the entire world was like, well, that's not an accent because that's what we hear on the movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think early on it's just focusing really heavily on enunciation and like not saying like fur, or, things like that, fitty and just those speaking more with purpose versus just being lazy in your speech, right? And so occasionally, like, you'll be in the middle of a conversation talking fast or saying things, and all of a sudden, like, it comes out, right? And it's a real long, drawn-out word or something like that. And you're like, oh, yeah, okay, howdy, whatever.
I just had a flashback to this young girl, Kelly O'Hara, in 5th grade, who was saying, oh, yes, Americans have horrible
there it
accent.
is.
They're so lazy with their talking, and I was just like, go back to your country then.
Yeah, go back to England. There was one that Andre still makes fun about. I said, we were talking and I just described, I was like, it bowed. And he was like, the fuck did you just say? I was like, it bowed. And he's like, Patrick. And I was like, yeah, that was a rough one. There's an Instagram clip somewhere where I like walk into a building and I say howdy y'all, but it's like with a super like Southern twang. And everyone's like, where did that come from? I'm like, sorry guys, it slips out occasionally. So anyway, yeah, good times.
How long have you been? How did you get into this? How long have you been in it?
Yeah, so got my first snake in 2012. The normal story, I grew up loving reptiles in general. I had iguanas, I had a tortoise, all the irresponsible ones initially. And then I stopped having any reptiles and I got a dog. And my dog died, and it was like one of the like worst experiences of my life. I walked into the backyard and she had died, and it was just very traumatic. And I went through this period. It was like I never want to experience that again. And so I was like, I'm gonna get a tortoise because they live forever if you take care of them, and so I don't have to feel this pain. And so while I was at the reptile show, I was actually at the NARBC. I met Bob Clark. And I started just kind of talking to Bob, and he was telling about this career of breeding snakes, and didn't realize who I was talking to at the time, and I see all of this stuff, and then I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Like I need to look more into it, and so I start watching YouTube videos, right? And so that's where Brian from BHB and Kevin from Nerd, right, start seeing their content because at the time those were the two big guys, And it really started drawing me into it. And then just by chance, I ran across something from Justin Kabilka, who at the time was not who he is now in the ball python world. And I reached out to Justin and I was like, man, I'm really interested in these ball pythons and I think this is really cool. Like, what advice would you have? And he's like, well, buy recessive. And so I was like, okay, cool. And so I start looking at World of Ball Pythons and I come across pastel clowns and killer clowns specifically. And they were just so crazy at the time. And I was like, okay, that's what we're going to breed. So I got a group of investors together. We pulled together about $8,000 and we bought a pair of pastel clowns and it kind of just went from there. So that was like 2011, 12 time frame. And then I bought my first snakes in 2012 and it just rolled from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That sounds...
It was an adventure.
Yeah, no doubt. Wow. And now, I mean, I just went to your facility for the first time and saw all the amazing snakes in there. And
appreciate it.
I mean, how much would you say your work is? Because you're a geneticist.
Yeah. So I have a PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology with an emphasis on genetics. So like the snakes kind of came after I'd started my undergrad training at Texas A&M, and so I was a microbiologist there. And actually, when I first got my first snakes, one of the first things I wanted to work on was being able to genotype them to be able to know for sure what they were. And so I actually kind of delved into the genetic testing like right off the bat, but it was crazy expensive at the time. And so, you know, I go through school and I'm doing all this and I'm still interested in the ball pythons and the genetics. And so one of the labs that I ended up working for while I was getting my PhD, one of the first things I told him was like, I don't want to be in academia. I don't want to go into farming. I want to create a company to genetic test snakes. And that was actually like on one of my first like performance evaluations. It was like, we talked about that. And so that's what honestly like drove a lot of this through the whole process. Was like my whole goal was, you know, learn enough about all of this stuff and sequencing and genotyping and genetic testing just in animals in general to be able to help with snakes down the road. And so it's driven a lot of that for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, is there stuff, I don't want to talk about stuff that you're not supposed to talk about or that you aren't allowed to talk about, or that we're recording the audio for this? And yeah, that's good. I love that. I love the fact that we're recording audio right now.
Yeah.
No
video?
Oh, lots of video.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I can see the videos recording. It's just one of those things, dude. I'm sure you've been through it. I know you've been through it.
I was going to say, you know, I've been through it. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can talk about in the genetic testing stuff yet.
Okay.
There's going to be a big announcement at Tinley.
Okay.
I don't know when this is going to come out.
This will be, let's say a month from now.
Yeah, so right before Tinley. So I can't say anything yet. There's going to be some really big stuff coming.
Okay.
There's going to be a big shift and the way things are done. So it's really exciting where we're at. It's already kind of public. One of the things we're doing is an anaconda genome. So we actually went up to Minnesota a couple weeks ago, hung out with Ed and Emily.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And we took blood from them and we're doing a full genome for an anaconda. So it's gonna be the first one ever, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
A ball python genome actually is about to be publicly available. That's not from us, but somebody else. And that's really like, it's exciting because we've been working off of a Burmese python genome for most of our genetic testing work. And there's a few other species we're working on. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that's coming, you know, down the pipeline for genetic testing and reptiles in general, not just ball pythons anymore.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
Let's run through the gamut here.
Yeah, all right. So Cusco asked me to bring some ball pythons because that is the main part of our business here. So I brought a smorgasbord. I think that's what they say up north, right?
Smorgasbord,
Buffet,
yeah. I like that.
Yeah, of different snakes. So I wanted to highlight a few different eras. I think that's what kids are saying these days as well. This is exciting.
Kids say era?
Era, right?
Bringing it back,
Isn't that a thing? Like it's your era? Like I'm in my snake era?
Eras are definitely things.
Yeah. All right, so the first one I want to look at is this guy here. So this is a blackhead, yellow belly. It's probably leopard, but I didn't label it that. Lavender albino pied. In the industry, we call these dreamsicles. So because it has blackhead and yellow belly, it'd be a blackhead, yellow belly dreamsicle. When I first got in, lavender albino was the morph that really drew me in. And Ralph Davis, Peter Call, and Justin Kabilka had just started making dreamsicles, which is a mixture of this pied and lavender albino. And it just blew me away. I mean, this was like the snake for me. I looked at it and I was like, this is like an incredible animal. And my wife, who's not a reptile person, and my family members who aren't, when I showed them the dreamsicle, they were like, wow, that is pretty. And so for me, and that kind of drove the whole business model, was making stuff that's really pretty, you know, that people outside of the snake world really would appreciate. And so, you know, you have clowns, which we'll look at some now and where they've come. You know, some clowns look relatively normal, and so it's hard to tell what's going on there. Whereas, this animal immediately something special about it. So this is the first one I want to show y'all was the one that really got me excited about ball pythons past that, killer clown. The killer clown was really cool, but then I saw this guy and it blew my mind. And the first actual dreamsicle I saw in person was my good friend who's now passed, Tom Harbin. So Tom Harbin was the first one, and he actually played a big role in my reptile life, and I miss him every day. But yeah, this was my first adult dreamsicle I saw was Tom Harbin. So anyway, yeah, so that's a blackhead yellowbelly dreamsicle, crazy cool animal, and it's been people have really enjoyed it at the show. So 10 out of 10 like this guy. So the next thing I want to show y'all is an ultramel clown. So an ultramel clown is another double recessive, and it's a combination of an ultramelanistic gene called ultramel, and then clown, which is one of the most popular morphs in the ball python industry. I love ultramel, so it's got this like mauve color to it, and almost like a golden tan SQ. And I just love that, unlike what you get sometimes with normal albinos, you can influence the color a little bit more. And I just love the tones that you get with it. It's like this purplish mauve, looking color.
Some wacky extra dark stuff happening on this one.
Yeah, so there's actually a mutation that we discovered in our collection recently that's very close to the ultramel mutation. That's quite a bit darker, but it interacts really well with it. And I think that's kind of what you're seeing in this paradoxing with this animal, is a little bit of that other mutation that's coming through. Because it doesn't look quite dark enough to be what I'd say is like a normal ball python black. It's still got a little bit of mauve tint to it. Whether we can see that in the camera or not, I don't know.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, it's really cool. And at Tinley, that'll be something else we're going to show off, is the new mutation that we found. So everybody come by the booth and see it. It's a showstopper for sure. But yeah, I just want to show that it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite morphs, and we work a lot of ultramel. And it's just really, really cool. And there's a lot that you can do with it, and shifting a little bit of the color tone, and then obviously a lot of the pattern that you can mess with. So, and then clown is, like I said, it's a staple. So this is a really cool guy. Where are you going, buddy? You can't go anywhere. He's everywhere. All right, so I want to talk about something. So in ball pythons, one of the things we always pray to are the odds gods. We put a lot of effort into it. If you've been in the ball python world for a long time, you know about the super mahogany or sumas. For the longest time, we didn't know that a suma pied could be made. So Justin Kabilka spent, I want to say it was like 80 plus animals trying to make one. And so for a little while, we thought that there was no visual difference between a regular mahogany pied and a super mahogany pied, because we hadn't hit a super mahogany pied. And so the goal with sumas, for those who don't know, is basically making a solid black snake. You mix in the pied, and you get this black and white snake that just looks spectacular. But we couldn't make one for like a bunch of tries. So multiple breeders also tried, and then finally we did. And it was just like, oh, it's a numbers game. And so Justin and I have been working this project for years, and not just us, but specifically him and I have been communicating, and that's the lace clown pied project. And so this is a lace clown pied. And so lace is a gene in ball pythons that adds brightness to the animal as it gets older. And so, as most people know, ball pythons, they don't get prettier as they get older normally. There's a couple of genes that do that, desert ghost and lace being two of those specifically. And so when I first saw lace, I was like, yep, it needs to go into clown pied. Justin agreed, and we both were kind of working that project in tandem. And he hit lace clown pieds first, but he couldn't hit a male. It seemed like he could never hit one. And so then I, in conjunction, am trying to, and I just can't hit one at all. So this animal is 47 eggs in, and I finally hit one. And it was like good odds. Like that should have happened much sooner, and they just wouldn't do it, right? But it's clutch after clutch after clutch, and you're getting down, and you're disappointed, right? And you're just like, it's never gonna happen. And then it finally does, and you get an animal that looks, to me, just as perfect as I expected it. It's, much brighter, a lot more orange coming in than you normally get from a clown pied. And the best part is, as the animal ages, it's just gonna look better and better and better. And so it's gonna look even better, a year from now than it does today. And so it's kind of that thing of, we struggle and it drives us crazy, and the odd gods aren't always the kindest, but if you keep working, a lot of times it's gonna pay off. It's just about time.
There's lace. There's something that gets confusing with some of the different names. There's white lace.
Yeah. So white lace is the homozygous form, or two copies of lace.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then there's also black lace, which I don't work with. I've never really dealt with it, and I don't know what it does. So it's not real helpful to this conversation on my end.
So
but it does exist.
Super lace and white lace are congruent.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. So So that's something weird ball python people do occasionally. Instead of being consistent with everything, they come up with their own little convention, and we all kind of just go with it a lot of the time. So yeah, white lace, super lace, very similar thing. All right, I'm gonna let you hide in here. So the next animal I want to show y'all is an animal that we're not finished with this project. This is an intermediate. I was hoping to hit the animal I wanted in this clutch, but you know, the odds gods aren't always kind. So this guy here is a bongo, GHI, spot nose, yellow belly, hypo, and it's a 100% het clown, so it's not visual for the clown trait. We were trying to make the double visual or the hypo clown version of this combo. But it's still just like a gorgeous animal that looks like it's got the highlighter stripes going down, but it's this thing, right, where we don't always hit exactly what we need at the moment, and so we get these intermediaries, and it's kind of like you take this animal now, and in 2 years hopefully hit what we actually wanted, right? And so it's those stepping stones to get to the projects we want. A lot of these projects are not made in a year. You know, these are years, 5, 10 years of making a project happen. So this is just kind of like that, you know, we're 3 years in on this project and probably another 2 or 3 years potentially from getting the exact animal that we want out of it. But, you know, it's still a really, oh, he's on the move. He's ready to go. It's a really cool animal, and it's interesting how these genes interact with each other. You know, it's nice, and I like the color tones as well. Like I said, not necessarily the most visually striking all the time, but it's really cool to see projects as you progress with the project to see where they're going and like what the intermediate steps are.
Totally.
All right, so the last animal I want to show y'all has been the showstopper. And this guy here, I never expected to hatch something that looked this nice out of the pairing. So the pairing was a Hurricane Inchy yellow belly special clown to a spot nose vanilla clown. And so I knew there were gonna be some really cool animals out there. But then this one like started coming out of the egg, and you just see the highlighter neon orange on this animal. And I was like, oh, we've got something really, really great here. And then once it shed, it was just unbelievable. It's kind of that moment where like we work on these projects and we kind of envision things that could come out of the eggs. And then all of a sudden you get something like this and you're like, oh, this is better than I could have ever imagined. And this is, you know, in the opposite of what we talked about with the lace clown pied. This was the first shot. The first time I'd ever paired this male and had no idea what was going to happen. And I literally hit the best animal you could possibly make with it on the first go out of 6 eggs. So it's funny how the odds gods give and they take away at the same time. But yeah, this one has just been incredible. And you know, the next step at this point is to add lace into there so it stays this bright throughout its whole life. It may take me 10 years to make that animal, but you know, I think this is going to be a great foundation for a lot of really cool, really cool clown projects.
I just love that. I mean, I love a lot about this snake, and probably the reason it's the showstopper is because there's a lot to like.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying how much more contrast the head stamp does than the rest of the body. It's kind of wild.
It's very different, right?
Yeah.
You get that very strong, dark black on its head, and then as you go through the rest of the body, it almost turns to like a charcoal grayish color throughout the rest of it. So you lose that contrast. And I wonder, you know, if we ever get to the point where we add lace to this guy, how's it going to affect the contrast? Because that is one thing lace does, that it actually adds contrast to the animal. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, you know, once we get years down the road and we adjust things. But yeah, you're right. The head doesn't necessarily match the body at all, but it's crazy, man. It's not what I expected at all.
Yeah, it's striking. Wow, you've done a really good job of intentionally picking your snakes and having a story flow from it. I don't know if anybody's ever done that before. I think it just speaks to what I said at the beginning, which is that every time I sit down and talk with you, you seem to get smarter and smarter.
You know, it's funny. The more I've watched content creation in general, right, and the more I've dived into that realm, I watch people that I think do it well, whether it's Snake Discovery or Brian at BHB or you do good stuff. And I see what y'all do, and it's, you know, I sample from it. You know, we talked about it yesterday. You're walking around the show with this T-Rex. And I think it's a fun prop. It's interesting. It gets people to relax, right? Because a lot of times you go and you interview somebody, and if they're not comfortable, they tense up, and you don't get the best out of people. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these should be conversational, right? That's the best content. And so when I see people doing stuff like that, like getting the opportunity to sample is just spectacular. Oh,
this is super rude, but we need your phone to run credit cards at your booth.
Hi, everybody. Hey, guys. Guys, that's how the magic is done. That's how. So super conversational. So when I see a lot of what y'all are doing, there's purpose to it a lot of times, right? And so that's where what I've started trying to do is if if we're going to do this, or we're going to do Late to the Mic, or a really smart guy in the doctor, have some purpose and like story behind it, because it just makes the conversation easier instead of you having to come up with every specific question on every single moment, and then we have these awkward gaps where I'm just like, well, Cusco, maybe we should ask this, and I don't know what to say. So yeah. Just doing stuff with purpose.
Yeah,
I think that's
good.
is a lot of what we do.
Yeah, it's good, bro. Yeah, I've yeah, it's been a great. I love that. I love how many layers there are to you.
Yeah,
that's great.
I'm like an onion. That's I feel like every time I'm with y'all's group, you find out something new, and it's a little bit shocking. I think this time it was the gymnast angle.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will go with that. And right here in this moment, it's your ability to craft story in a very organic type of way.
Oh, thanks. Cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't know, just an onion. That's
it's a little stinky sometimes.
Yeah, stinky a lot of times. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just I was very fortunate growing up. My parents really so I'm ADHD, for those who haven't met me, and those who have met me absolutely know. I'm all over the place, and I'm very chaotic, and I have hyperfixations on things. And my parents did a really good job of, instead of letting the ADHD be a negative in my life, they helped focus that, right? And so my mom would be like, whatever you start, you have to do for 6 months. And if you don't like it after 6 months, you can move on to something else, but give everything you try a shot, right? So it helped me do a lot of different things, right? Because I would, start baseball, and I'm doing cartwheels in the outfield, and clearly I hate it, but I at least got to experience that. I did dance, I did gymnastics, and gymnastics was one that stuck, and I was in it for 11 years, and I loved it. It was a great way to blow energy, and it helped me in other sports that I was in, whether it was basketball or soccer or football, inline skating, all of these different things. So my parents did a really good job of helping focus that, and just make sure, if he's gonna do this, he's gonna be all over the place, let's at least let him get a little bit of experience in a bunch of different things. And I think it helped make me a more rounded person when it comes to stuff like that. And then I was just really fortunate once I got into higher level education that people didn't necessarily see the scatterbrainedness or the all over the place as a negative, because sometimes you get that where if you're not just hyper focused on one thing, they're like, oh, he's not willing to work hard, or he doesn't care enough about this. And I was fortunate that some of the people that took me under their wing were like, no, you gotta let Patrick kind of do his thing a little bit. And once he finds what he's gonna work on, he'll just work until he dies. And so that was something that, the first couple of labs I was in, they didn't really assign me a specific project. They're like, this is what the lab works on. Go in and find what interests you, and then let's move from there. And that was something that really helped me grow as a human and as a professional, and that's kind of where I'm at now.
It's great, dude.
Yeah.
I love it.
Very fortunate.
Yeah.
It's
good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Where are all the places that people can follow your continued journey on all the things you're doing?
Yeah, so Aura Reptiles on most platforms. So we're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube loosely. So I put out 3 videos. I have 15 filmed. I just need to actually edit and do stuff. But anyway, Aura Reptiles on most platforms. We also do a weekly podcast called Late to the Mic, where me and a couple of snake friends, Chase Patton, Troy occasionally, we get on and we just talk about reptiles. And it's more so supposed to be just kind of life and then reptile adjacent, but of course we're all reptile people, so we get to the reptile part. And then once a month for now, we're doing a podcast called A Really Smart Guy and a Doctor. And that's with my buddy Charlie Williams of shedtesting.com. He's the really smart guy, and I'm the doctor. And we basically just give an update on where genetic testing is for the company once a month, so that people can have an idea of where we're at, where we're going, and life in general.
It's good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. I love that. Maybe at one point you'll get to be the really smart guy part.
I can only hope, right?
It seems like you're headed that direction. It's trending that way.
Trending up. The problem is Charlie's crazy smart, and he's just Charlie's that guy that when he sees a problem, he just figures out how to do it, and he just makes it happen. And so, yeah, I think it's great. Hopefully one day I'll be the smart guy, but who knows?
We'll see. Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. I'll let you get back to your table before the show's over.
No, this was fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for doing it, man.
Yeah, this was a blast.
Yeah. Excellent. Cool. Seriously, well done, bro.
No, this was fun.
Thank you guys for tuning in yet again. Subscribe if you haven't to see more interviews with folks in the reptile industry / hobby here every Tuesday. And we'll see you next week on the next episode. Until then, y'all take care. Big thank you to Patrick for coming on. Please go find the links in the description. You can follow along with all his stuff that he's doing, whether it's genetic testing or breeding amazing looking ball pythons, or just being, the podcasts with Troy and Chase, or with his buddy, the smart guy who he's going to become one day maybe. And just enjoy it. But thank you for watching.